You were just saying about the Zaka. So this is called my bubble flower scissor fob, and I call it a bubble flower because the petals kind of bubble out like that. And this is a technique that has your flower look exactly the same on both sides.
All right, right.
Yeah?
I want to see how you make one.
Okay, great. So you start out by rotary cutting a rectangle 2.5 by 5 inches. You're going to fold it in half, right sides together,
Okay.
and take it over to the machine. And you're going to sew a 1/4 inch from the raw edge.
Just straight down, do you back stitch?
I'm back stitching at the beginning and the end of the seam.
Okay.
Easy peasy. Okay?
All right.
And then after that's done, what you're going to do is take your tube that you have formed.
Okay.
What we're going to do is run a gather stitch close to the folded edge. That makes for a more secure stitch when you're pulling on it quite firmly on the thread. So that's a 1/4 inch stitch, I would say.
And you're using a heavier thread?
That's right. This is called an extra strong thread. There's several brands in the market. You can also use embroidery thread, or I'm sorry, upholstery thread.
Okay.
Which is usually made out of polyester. It's a lot stronger.
And that's just so that when you have to really cinch it in, it
Right.
doesn't break.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. So once you finish that, you're going to cinch it up and close it, and it'll look like this.
A little hat.
Exactly. It looks like a little hat, and we're going to do the other raw edge. So you're going to do the exact same thing.
Tuck it under a 1/4 inch.
Exactly.
Towards the wrong side.
Correct. Back stitch and then stitch all the way around the
Same running stitch.
same running stitch. Then when you've done that, you want to turn it right side out.
Okay.
So we see the pretty side of the fabric, and then you're going to bring the needle to the right side of the fabric. See
Okay.
that?
Right, right.
So then it's time to stuff it. So you're going to take your, would you be kind of bringing this inside?
Oh, sure. Thank you. Back.
You're going to take your polyester fiber fill and stuff that quite firmly. Now this is,
Move these out of the way.
oh,
so
thank you.
see.
This is a really important step, the stuffing, and you want to make sure that your finished puff has like the firmness of a grape. See?
Okay. Oh, yes, very
Yeah.
grape-like.
Very grapey.
But if it's too mushy, it's not going to be pretty and
It's
full.
not, exactly,
Okay.
it's not going to be a voluptuous flower.
All right.
It's going to be a sad, wrinkly flower. You don't want that.
So you pack it in there. It's
Pack it
pretty
in.
tight, and then you cinch
Just
it.
cinch it up, knot and tie it off and trim the thread.
Okay.
And then you'll have this little puff here.
And so you could even maybe put a few stitches through there too. You just don't want to put too much because the bead will cover the little hole. Right?
Exactly. It'll. I mean, this is pretty hard to mess up. But see, there's a little knot here.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
That'll get covered by your bead.
Right.
So now what we want to do is create these little divisions with the embroidery floss.
Okay.
And there is a trick to that. So you're going to take about a yard of embroidery floss, put it on a rather long, sharp embroidery needle, and send it through the middle of the puff. And you're going to catch a couple of stitches on the edge right there.
All right.
So that when you pull it through, the knot will catch on that fabric. If you just put it through the hole, of course, it would
Pop right out.
pop right out. And you're going to, first thing you want to cover is that seam there.
All right.
It's just a little thing, but it'll
Yeah,
make it
yeah. Nice detail.
nice craftsmanship. You're going to bring it through the same hole, pull it tight, and then wrap around a second time.
Right. And you're just coming up through that hole that is where you cinched all the fabric in.
That's correct.
Right? Okay.
So there you go. And you can see, and you got to pull nice and tight to lift and separate.
Yeah.
So you get a nice,
Right. Definition there.
Exactly, nice
Yeah.
definition. So you're going to then do the same thing on the opposite side, dividing it in half, and then divide each of those halves into thirds.
So you don't just work your way around. You do one side, then 180 degrees, and then divide each section again and again.
That's correct. So you'll end up with a flower with six sections.
I can see doing this little tiny pumpkins too.
Oh,
the same technique, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's so many uses for these. And since they're double-sided, that'll really get your brain started on what you could use these for.
Right.
So here's our finished bubble flower.
Mhm.
And now it's time to start on that hanger for the scissor fob.
Okay, great.
Okay? So keep that one handy.
Oh, we're going to
That's
need that one
okay.
back, all right?
And so what we're going to do for the hanger is cut 3 full strands of embroidery floss, 24 inches long. And we're going to make a very loose knot, because we're going to take that out later.
Okay, so not too tight.
Not too tight. At the ends of one end of the embroidery bundle. You're going to take a piece of tape. I also would pin this to my pant leg and go go ahead
So
and
you
braid.
you just need to make sure it's really held down so you can
It's
braid
held
it.
down, yes. You use the method that's most comfortable for you. This is pretty smart too. So you're gonna go ahead and braid the floss.
And you probably want it to be nice and tight so it's neat.
Exactly.
It's a little sloppy, right?
Exactly. So you're gonna keep braiding like that until you get 7 inches worth of braid.
Okay.
I think I have
Is this
one
one
over
7
there.
inches? Right here?
It surely is.
Okay.
Okay, so you can see that at this end I have unknotted the knot that I first created.
Okay.
We're gonna bring the braided part together and just make an overhand knot right where those braided
Where
sections end.
Where the braid stops and the loose parts.
Right, so you're making a loop out of the pretty part.
Okay.
Okay, then we have these long strands of embroidery floss, which we need to send through the meat of the flower.
Right.
So in order to do that, you can't just do that with an embroidery needle.
It's just because you can't fit all those 6 strands of embroidery floss in any size needle, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Among other reasons, it would just be too hard to pull it through. You'd need a heavy-duty pliers or
Right.
channel lock or something.
No, we don't want to do that. No.
Exactly. So what I do is I take this needle tool,
Like
which
an
is
awl?
It's like an awl, exactly. And I just send it right through the middle of the flower, right like that, and I
Okay,
twist
so
it.
180 degrees, one in one end, out the other.
In one end, out the other, that's right. And what you're doing is you're making a starter hole for your
With
needle.
a little
and
tunnel
your-
for the needle to go through.
Exactly, to make it easier.
All right.
So we have one started there, and even still that you've made that starter hole, your problem, like you said, is you're not gonna be able to fit 6 strands of embroidery floss through your embroidery needle. So what I do is I do them 2 at a time.
Okay.
So you can see that I've already gotten total of 4 strands through the flower. And let's just do the last one.
Do they
The
ever
last
get kind of
2 strands.
tangled up together inside?
If they do, you can't see it, so it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
that's true. As long as they all come out the other side, right?
Exactly. So there we go. Boom.
Great.
So then we're just gonna tie an overhand knot.
And by that you mean just make a hole and pull it through, right?
Exactly. You're
Okay.
just gonna.
And then use the needle to make sure it goes down flat against
Exactly.
the little flower.
There you go. That's a beater trick.
Yep, nice and tight.
Nice and tight. There we go.
Great.
So once you've done that, you are going to want to trim those tassel ends to about 1.25 inches. I'm just going to eyeball it there. There you go. Beautiful. Okay, now the very last step is to bead the center, like our sample here. And the way that you do that is you take a strand of thread. You want to use one that matches your bead. So I'm using orange beads here, but just for the sake of contrast.
So you can see the thread.
Exactly, so you viewers can see the thread. I'm gonna send it through the middle of the flower. It's knotted, so that'll catch
Right. And that knot's gonna get covered up by the bead on the other side?
by
that
the
you're gonna
bead
do
on the
next?
other side, that's right.
Okay.
So you'll thread on a bead, send the needle back through the same place in the center, and now we'll put a bead on the other side of the flower.
And so that way, you know, it's beautiful on both sides,
Exactly, which is exactly what you want for something that's gonna be
flipping around,
flipping around. Oh, ironic.
just like it flipped.
So there we go. Pull it tight. You'll probably want to send your thread through the beads an additional time just for security's sake. And then you'll knot it off. And then what I like to do is bury the thread.
Right, just pull it inside there and then trim it off.
That's right. You just pull it
Make sure
through
you
there.
don't cut into your project when you're all done.
Correct. And then just take your scissors and trim it flush to the fabric.
Great. Thanks so much. I really enjoyed it. I can see so many wonderful applications for this cute little thing, including the necklace you're wearing. Love it.